these patents speak to. Now, for target individuals, why I'm making this video is we need more arsenal. And if you don't know where, if you don't know, just to go into Google and look up these patents and kind of see how this stuff works. Look at all these different kinds of all these different weapon platforms that they put together on these remote platforms together to attack us with different things. So it'll put more information under our belt too. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and kind of get into it. Background of the invention: radio frequency directed energy (RFDE) systems are known in the art for directing high power RF, microwave, and/or millimeter wave electromagnetic energy to destroy or disrupt a target. Although RFDE systems typically serve as military weapons, RFDE systems need not be limited to weapons systems. For example, RFDE systems of the present invention may be used for non-military purposes such as destroying or disrupting foreign objects, contaminants, undesirable atmospheric conditions, or other types of targets. Now, there's this company where I live. It's called Capital Ultrasonics. And they do use a lot of these radio frequency directed energy systems to image inside of pipes that may be rusted to see if there's damage inside of pipes or certain machinery, so they don't have to blow open the pipes or blow open the machinery, so they can see what's wrong inside of them and fix them and things like that. So there are actually non-violent uses for directed energy weapon systems that are actually used in in non-violent industries. Now, for what I'm talking about, and as a target individual, these third-party contractors are using them for torture and for illegal remote surveillance, and trauma, mutilation, and eventually what I call mind rape, but I guess some people would call mind control or mind direction. As for weapon systems, it is important to distinguish between an RFDE weapon system and an electronic warfare system. A primary difference between an RFDE weapon and an electronic warfare system is power and kill mode. An electronic warfare system makes use of a priori knowledge of a target it is designed to jam or disrupt. An electronic warfare system uses such a priori knowledge of a target's characteristics, e.g., frequency of operation, method of operation, etc., to disrupt or confuse the target with finesse or a relatively low amount of power. On the other hand, an RFDE weapon system can go after a broad range of targets: electronics, biological, ordnance, structures, etc. So when I talk about my attackers, they're hitting the CD that I use to play Dave Case's CD in, and they make it skip, and they hit my rechargeable batteries. So they must be using something like this, and there are probably many different types of manufactured RFDEs, radio frequency directed energy weapon systems. But this is one patent. This is a patent for a prototype. So I'm going to go through it, but that's what they're talking about. It can hit a broad range of targets: electronics, biological, ordnance, structures, etc., due to its relatively large radiated power. A priori knowledge of the intended target characteristics is typically not required because the RFDE weapon either burns out or overwhelms its target by the sheer amount of power it radiates. An ongoing problem with RFDE systems is targeting accurately. I'm trying to get some of the word. Is targeting, accurately pointing the RF-directed energy beam at the intended target and establishing an accurate range from the system to the target. To date, the RFDE system targeting problem has been addressed by using what may be referred to as auxiliary add-on systems. And that's kind of what I'm talking about, because these things can target using radar, but then the platforms that they're using, they can add other things to it. Like they could add V2K, they can add certain software, they can add the stuff for remote neural monitoring. So auxiliary add-on systems that may actually do more automated targeting than manual targeting. And I've just researched this. I'm not on the other side of the weapons, but A lot of the third-party contractors talk about manned and unmanned directed energy weapon systems. So there's probably a lot of ways, my attackers can probably manually target something, manually target me, or they might have something that if they do it over and over again, they might have some kind of auxiliary add-on system of automated targeting, some other, targeting add-on system. These add-on systems could include a standalone radar system, a standalone laser rangefinder, standalone optical or infrared imaging system, etc. However, these add-on systems add significant cost to the RFDE system. In addition, these add-on systems add significant complexity by requiring calibration of the alignment between the RFDE system and the standalone targeting system. So this is going through and explaining the diagrams of the manufactured prototype. Well, it's not. I mean, it's not a prototype now, but I guess when they introduced this patent, it would have been considered a prototype. But this is the actual directed energy weapon system. I will read it. It is probably kind of confusing, but I kind of want to just read some of the terminology that is used. Figure 1 is a block diagram of a typical RFDE system. In its simplest form, the system includes a high-power transmitter transmitting through a high-power antenna. The transmitter operates at RF, microwave, or millimeter wave frequencies. The system operates based on a prime power source such as an AC mains, generator, high-capacity battery system, etc. A power conditioning block conditions power delivered from the power source so as to be suitable for powering the transmitter. A cooling system provides appropriate cooling to the power conditioning block and the high-power transmitter as needed. A control block provides appropriate control among the various subsystems. The RFDE weapon system further includes an antenna pointing system for aiming the high-power antenna, and thus the high-power electromagnetic energy beam transmitted therefrom at the target. The pointing system typically is driven by coordinate data identifying the direction and range of the intended target. Such coordinate data is provided by a standalone targeting system. As is noted above, the targeting system is an add-on, often in the form of a standalone radar system, a standalone laser rangefinder, standalone optical or infrared imaging system, etc. As is also noted above, however, these add-on systems add significantly to the cost and complexity of the RFDE system. In view of the aforementioned shortcomings associated with conventional RFDE systems, there is a strong need in the art for an RFDE system which is not subject to the cost and complexity associated with conventional targeting systems. Summary of the invention. The RFDE system of the present invention eliminates the need for a separate standalone targeting system by integrating a targeting system within the RFDE system itself. The RFDE system is multifunctional in that all or part of the RFDE system hardware that functions to direct high-power electromagnetic energy also functions to obtain and provide targeting information to aim the high-power electromagnetic energy beam. For example, the RFDE transmitter is not only used as a source of the directed electromagnetic energy, but is also used as a radar transmitter for targeting an object. So that's pretty important. With this directed energy, well, I'll read that. I'll just read it again. For example, the RFDE transmitter is not only used as the source of the directed electromagnetic energy, but is also used as a radar transmitter for targeting an object. So, this version of a radio frequency directed energy weapon system can use that beam of directed energy also to target. Not just to shoot, but can also be the targeting is also included in what directed energy can do. It can actually, when Kellyanne, Donald Trump's aide, said, there's actually microwaves that turn into cameras. Like, she didn't say it right, but really, electromagnetic frequencies are microwave that can actually produce images and actually send those images back. So Donald Trump and his office were, I guess, briefed on a lot of kind of new surveillance things with microwaves and electromagnetic frequencies, where microwaves really are used as cameras. They're used to image things. The cost of the overall system is substantially reduced since an expensive radar transmitter is not required. Moreover, the complexity of the system is reduced as calibration of the alignment between the RFDE system and the standalone targeting system becomes unnecessary. It's pretty boring to read through. I guess I'll read this next paragraph, and then I'm going to see if there's anything else interesting in this. But you can just look up directed energy weapons systems patents or directed energy weapons patents, and there's many different kinds. There's the ground weapons, then there's the actual directed energy weapons system with the transmitter and the radar. I might go back to that ground weapon and show and go through the aspects of how the microwave that emits from it actually creates an image of the target and then shoots directed energy at the target. But let me read this first and then see if there's anything useful here. According to one aspect of the invention, well, it's all useful. It's just it kind of just is very very scientific reading. And I just want to go through and say, hey, look, the patents are here for directed energy weapons and a lot of this stuff, and you can come and look at it in detail, on your own time. But I did want to go through some of the terminology used when we talk about this weaponry that's being used on us, targeted individuals. According to one aspect of the invention, a multifunctional RFDE system is provided. The RFDE system includes an RFDE transmitter and at least one RFDE antenna. The RFDE transmitter and antenna direct high-power electromagnetic energy towards a target sufficient to cause high-energy damage or disruption of the target. The RFDE system further includes a targeting system for locating the target. The targeting system includes a radar transmitter and at least one radar antenna for transmitting and receiving electromagnetic energy to locate the target. So that's a very important sentence. The targeting system includes a radar transmitter and at least one radar antenna for transmitting and receiving electromagnetic energy to locate the target. And that's very important because they can transmit and receive electromagnetic energy. That's going to be important when I go through the patent on remote neural monitoring, to understand remote neural monitoring, because that is transmitting electromagnetic energy to the brain and nervous system and also receiving back signals, electromagnetic energy signals from the brain and nervous system. The RFDE system also includes an antenna pointing system for aiming the at least one RFDE antenna at the target based on the location of the target as ascertained by the targeting system. Moreover, at least a portion of the radar transmitter or at least one radar antenna is integrated within at least a portion of the RFDE transmitter or at least one RFDE antenna. I'm going to kind of go down because this is very, very scientific, kind of over and over again reading. See if there's anything else that stands out that I think that I need to go through. But non-TIs and TIs alike, please check out these patents. They are right under our nose and in our face. These weapons that are being used in our society. Nobody's really hiding anything. They're just really not talking about it. And people are like, well, that doesn't exist. But all the information is really out there. Now, there is, exactly what the remote platforms look like, and how they're combining all this stuff. Target individual experiences that, but that is what's the word? Gosh, I am having a really hard time remembering words, but that's classified stuff. That's all classified stuff. But when they are murdering citizens and torturing citizens, it needs to be declassified. needs to be declassified because they're murdering Americans. Okay, so